Okay, so this is take 2 of the walkthrough for Saving Our Planet, which is the EAL version of Skiing into Oblivion. I forgot to turn the microphone on properly last time. So let's have a look. I'm going to start actually this time by having a look at the picture and this mountain of computer screens. So this can be linked into the article where later on he talks about, needing the latest toys, even if they're going to be obsolete before we finish paying for them. So by having a mountain of computer screens like this, it really kind of exaggerates the problem, or it shows you the collective effects of it. Having just one computer screen wouldn't have as much as an impact, and a reader might not think about throwing away one computer screen. However, here they can see the impact of everybody having the same attitude. Now, if we have a look at the poster, that relates to what the writer says later on with regards to the gas guzzling four-wheel drives. Now, what I want you to note here is the positioning of a much more practical, smaller vehicle next to it. Now, as you may have seen in the previous walkthroughs, I always talk about how when things, whether it be language or visuals, are positioned next to each other, it seems to sort of provide an option to the reader, and make the comparison, or the comparison makes it obvious as to what choice they should go for. Now, some people, when analysing this image, like to talk about the tree in the background because it's kind of bare looking, and it looks as if the environment and nature have been pushed to the background and neglected. The reader to think about the background more. Sorry, about nature more. Sorry, I got distracted there. Okay, so in the first paragraph here, we want to have a look at this future generations. So that gives the current generation a sense of responsibility. It's not just about them. Um, Now, then we go down to here. We want to have a look at words such as forced, where shock, and we had pain. It almost sounds like torture. So it could be two ways really here that this sort of problem is going to end up being torture to us because of the consequences, or we're torturing the environment. Either way, the readers will want to avoid this torture. And the writer uses words throughout the piece like sensibly and responsible as being the alternative. So rather than being tortured by these consequences, we can make more sensible or responsible choices. Um, then we have a look at the dramatic increase in fuel prices. So this again is sort of tying into the hip pocket nerve. So for those who don't really care about the environment, they might care about how they're paying, how much they're paying for fuel. And this also starts to give you a sense of what audience this piece is being designed for. It's an audience of consumers, adult consumers, so people who will be paying household expenses, driving vehicles, paying the bills, that sort of thing. So here, of course, they want to avoid the increasing prices. So this appeals to their self-interest, and they might change their behaviours. Now we have a look at some alliteration here with gas guzzling. So again, that provides a great sense of emphasis. So hopefully when people in the future think of four-wheel drives, they will remember this phrase, gas guzzling. Okay, this here, many of us, appeals to that sense of group loyalty. So for those people who have been the ones using the buckets in the shower and saving water, this will encourage them to keep doing the same thing. But for those who haven't been following the rest of the group and sort of are left out on the outside, they'll feel a bit of a sense of guilt and may start joining the rest of the crowd in saving water. This little exclamation here, we just don't tolerate inconvenience, has a bit of a mocking tone. So by writing it like this, and the reader hearing it written like this in their own minds as they read it, they might sort of question their petty attitudes towards the problem. Okay, so here we've got phrases like more and more and increasing. So it sounds like things are really, mounting up, creating a sense of pressure. Nobody likes pressure, so in order to avoid pressure and obligation, the readers may not be so inclined to accept these offers of quick and easy money. Then we start to have a few appeals to logic and reasoning. this notion of buying objects that are obsolete before we finish paying for them, and also planting water-intensive crops in the middle of drought. So obviously water-intensive crops means they need a lot of water, whereas in a drought a lot of water isn't available. So both of these actions seem to be quite illogical and stupid, not that we'd use the word stupid in our language analysis. But the readers would look at the actions and see, well, that's obviously not a logical thing to do, so they will be more inclined to reconsider their farming practices and their purchasing natures. Paul Evans here finishes with an appeal to fear with the phrase frighteningly close, so the reader will start to be very concerned about what lies for them around the corner and have a sense of urgency for changing their patterns of consumerism and waste so that they don't meet their doom.